tell the viewers that the penalties that come with some of those infringements, because some of those are just ridiculous.
I think I share your sentiment. Providing one person, irrespective of who they are, that kind of authority is incredibly dangerous. And nowhere in history have we seen any kind of success from that kind of tactic. I think for me as a consumer and thinking a lot about the smokers, because I think they are considered to be second class in our society, is that removing the information or removing the ability to share information around these products. So if we look at the bill, literally if we take, for example, a smoker that wants to quit and has done their own research, goes into a vape shop, the products are removed from display, so there's no products. The person behind the counter can only provide them with a list, a predefined list where product name, price, and quantity is provided. For a person that has never been exposed to this and actually just seen it anecdotally or just seen it in somebody else's hand, doesn't know about this. This is a switch, it's a change. So there's a process. There's varying different products out there. There's an engagement between the person behind the counter who's more often than not gone through this process, gone through the headaches, able to share this information with the smoker. What products are out there, what types of products are there, the nicotine strength, the flavors, even the different device types are critical in this process. So taking that away from this discussion or from this solution is detrimental. The other issue is the ability of where you can or can't use these products. They're very restrictive. We can all agree that we would never want to see vaping in schools or vaping in areas where there's child minding or child care. But one of the clauses or points in clause 2 talks about not having to be able to smoke or vape in your own private house if it's used for commercial activity, which includes domestic employment. So what does that mean now? How does that work? And that now comes with, I think, I stand under correction, either a 3 or 6 month jail term or fine. So what we are suggesting here, or what the bill is suggesting, is if somebody is smoking in their own home and they happen to have a domestic worker that's there, the police can come in and have you arrested and put you in jail for up to 6 months for doing that.
In your own home.
In your own home.
Yeah.
Which is rather concerning, because where does it stop? Because if you give the minister more powers, what other regulations and what other penalties can be conjured up if they're not getting their own way? So those are some of the real issues around there. The reduction of flavors is a very huge problem for a lot of vapors out there. We know that a minority of vapors use tobacco-flavored products. The overwhelming majority use a flavor such as a combination of fruits, desserts, so forth. And those flavors are critical in helping people make better choices. We see this in nicotine replacement therapy. You don't get a tobacco flavor gum. You don't get a tobacco flavor lozenge, thank goodness. But you do get fruit flavors. You do get mint flavors in those product ranges. We see this in foods when it comes to helping people reduce their calories. I'm not the one to talk about this, but we see, for example, you get a Coke variant and then you get a sugar-free Coke flavor variant. And then you see this in other low-fat products and sugar-free products. They don't remove the flavor. The flavor's there to keep the person interested, attracted, keep them in the process. Having those flavors removed or having only one flavor, for example, tobacco, will not see the same level of effectiveness as that we currently see.
There's something smart about the way the bill has been written, though, Calvin, and it goes to the last point you spoke about flavors, where there are instances where it says the minister must or the minister may when it comes to vaping products. Is this deliberate? I mean, from a drafting point of view, because the regulations will come later on. And why I'm asking is sometimes you hear the anti-vaping lobby group saying, I mean, these are still up for discussion. It may not happen. It's just, it may happen, but there are certain things that must happen for tobacco. Is this another ploy in terms of smart policy making where things could be introduced later on? Or is this normal, you know, from a policy making process? Because I know, for example, with the flavor one, it says he may. It's not to say it will happen, but with tobacco stuff, there are things where it must contain this.
It is
It is.
definitely a ploy.
Yeah.
Like you say, it's smart policy making, because if the bill goes through and it's law, and the minister at a later stage may introduce whatever he deems he has to achieve his objectives, it means that what I spoke about at the beginning, that participation process is no longer there. You mentioned 2020, the lockdown. He may wake up and say, I'm banning this, I'm banning that, and you will not have any recourse except the courts.
Yeah.
But that's not what policymaking is about. It's not about always running to the courts. It's about engaging people, understanding people, and ensuring that whatever you're trying to regulate or legislate is to the benefit of everyone. So you mentioned some of the proposals in the bill that are problematic. What Kat was talking about is called a retail display ban. So why would I operate a store when I can't display anything?
Products, yeah.
So
So you mean it has to be like as plain as possible and just have the name of the brand.
Yeah.
So no more nice branding, you know, to differentiate yourself from your competitors.
So you'll find just a shell, someone standing there, and you say, I want this particular product, and that person has to give it. So I might as well operate from my house. So that means that the economy, then you're no longer paying rent, then the economy suffers. You no longer have someone to man the store. So that's a job lost if it's one. And when another proposal is on packaging. A lot of industries are made of packaging and the creative industry. It means you're eliminating that as well. So it has a ripple effect, what the bill is proposing. But those are the things that government should have been aware about if they had properly done public participation and stakeholder consultation, because those are the things that would have come out to say, wait a minute, as much as you say you're about health, but there are other things at play. Other considerations at play.
Yes.
And there's a way of achieving what you want to achieve without going the draconian route. So you have a government that has seemingly closed its ears off to everyone else that does not say what it wants. That's why you have people who are called anti-tobacco lobbies having unfettered access to the government, but other people who are advocating for something else do not have that luxury, and they are demonized as pursuing profit over lives.
And that's an important element. And I think remember that question I was asking, why ordinary South Africans need to care. You don't need to be a vapor. You don't need to be a smoker. But the mere fact that you're South African and you care about jobs. I mean, this is our economy is on its knees, you know. Job creation should be a priority. And when you talk about these retail display bans, if you can't talk to consumers, if I'm a shop owner and there's 3 employees, why would I need 3 employees if all you're going to be doing is just to cash up? I'd rather just have 1 person. So that's 2 jobs lost. And we know it's not just 2 jobs, the people that get supported, etc. And I think that's where the argument gets lost, where people think, we are just advocating for vaping, you're just advocating for this. Yes, we believe in vaping for the tool it is, but there are other consequences that could come from this bill if we are not careful. And I think from a consumer point of view, Kurt, you deal with consumers. I mean, what are some of the worries? Our next episode, we're going to be talking to a consumer, but what are some of the worries that are being raised by consumers on some of these proposals?
I think one of the biggest worries with an established user is the risk of having these products severely restricted from regards of the contents used, the flavors, so forth and so on. I want to touch on what Calvin was saying about plain packaging, which will affect consumers in the future. Is that how easy would it then to make a counterfeit of that product? Now, this now becomes an issue around safety and quality of these products. Because if you're going to have just a plain package with literally a font of a determined size and color, how easy is that to replicate? So now we're starting to see counterfeit products in there, or fake products. And the vape industry has already been riddled with these kind of products out there coming from China. So much so that we've seen some of the biggest manufacturers of vaping products, which are not tobacco-related companies, having put methods in place in order for them for consumer to track whether that product is authentic or not. So those are some of the issues that we're seeing. We're then looking at consumers saying that they'll go and make their own e-liquids. And we saw this particularly around the excise. When the excise was raised, a lot of people are now, because they cannot afford the product, will now create their own e-liquid. This will just be amped. It will amp because now people not getting the product that they become reliant on or want will now try find it through other sources, illegal sources, or try replicate it. And these products shouldn't be replicated just willy-nilly. There's a level of science and a level of understanding that's needed in these. And so those are some of the issues that we're hearing from the consumers. And then we need to understand that a lot of the other questions around is if a new product comes out, this is a growing, innovative industry, continuously bringing in new things. How would these consumers know what is the latest and greatest if that information cannot be shared?
I mean, we're talking a lot about what we disagree with. You know, I think there are things that we agree on. And I mean, I mentioned first the fact that we do want to decrease the number of smokers. That's a shared goal with our regulators. And another one that I believe we share is youth access prevention to these products. So that's something, I mean, in the bill, it does say that you make sure that you limit the access of these products to young people. So can you speak just very briefly? I'm hoping we'll have an episode on this at some point. But Kali, on you, just on your side, anything about the importance of youth access prevention for these products?
I think, yes, I do share their sentiments around with vaping, but at the same time, you cannot legislate by fear. You have to legislate by the evidence that's there. If you are saying that the fear is young people are going to have access to this product or are having access to this product, then if that's the issue, let's deal with that issue. But seemingly that issue has not been thoroughly addressed because government is running away from that issue because they have you don't have any evidence to point to say this is the issue. But we've seen with other campaigns, let's talk about HIV and AIDS, where you have government that's providing condoms to schools, to young kids. But at the same time, you have these educational programs to say, these are the dangers of unsafe sex. Why is the same not being done when it comes to vaping and tobacco smoking? You know, young people will always find a way of getting access to these things. But if you invest enough in education and creating awareness, not only is the child aware, but also the mother is aware, so that the mother can know what to look out for. The mother can also participate in the educating of the young child to say, these products are dangerous for you, these products are not for you. So that's where I think the gap is, where there's not enough emphasis on education and creating awareness with these kids and also the parents as well, so that you don't get to deprive the people that need these products from accessing them, but rather you deal with the problem. If the problem is this, then let's deal with the problem. If the problem is young people getting access to these products and getting addicted, then let's deal with that. Let's sit around, call everyone to the table to say, this is the problem I have. How do we deal with this problem so that we get to provide solutions? And it goes back to what I was saying, that the problem we have is you have government that's shutting out the other side, the other people that can provide, that have solutions to some of these issues. But if you exist in an echo chamber, sometimes you will not have other people providing opposing views, different views. But you always have people agreeing with you, and then you're thinking you're doing the right thing, but
you're not.
Yeah.
So I think the important thing is you can't protect young people at the expense of the people who need these products, which are the adult smokers. So you need to strike a balance, and it's important. And I think industry has demonstrated that they do take it seriously, but it can't just be an industry thing. You know, it is collective responsibility. And I mean, I think we almost out of time. Just to talk about, so currently the bill is out for comment. The comment phase opened on the 22nd of June. So any person, any South African can make a submission, whether you are a vapor, whether you are a smoker, or you don't support these things per se, but you know of someone who is struggling with smoking. You have to make a submission, because as Calvin said earlier, as a South African, you need to have an interest in the public policy making process, because it's not just about health, there's economic implications as well. The closing date is the 4th of August. Do you want to ask people to make submissions? I mean, how do they go about making submissions, Kurt, from a consumer point of view?
From a consumer point of view, we have our website, vsml.co.za. There is a section to make a submission. We've provided for 2 forms, a very in-depth form that goes through pretty much every clause out there, and then a shorter version where the clauses that impact consumers directly. So we invite everybody. I agree with you. Everybody that's involved in South Africa should have a say around this. And should express what they dislike in the bill and what their concerns are, because the more we have this, the better decisions can be made and reflect what society is thinking about, and not what somebody in a suit in Pretoria is wanting.
And Calvin, what can from the next step point of view, what can we expect? Because I know once the process closes, we're going to have public hearings, and referring to the Mohale and other case, I think our parliamentarians ought to be listening, because we need to do things by the book. What are some of the things we need to expect from them?
Okay. Before I go there, I want to add that there are a number of ways that you can make submissions on this bill. So you can go to the Parliament's website. It's an easy form. You just fill in your names and why you support or oppose this bill. You can also write to Parliament, and you can also make a short video or an audio and send to Parliament as well. Or you can go via other websites such as VSML as well. So there are a number of avenues that a person can make inputs on the bill. And going back to the next processes, so after the bill closes on the 4th of August, then Parliament has to consolidate all the inputs that are received. And for those that expressed an intention to also make oral submissions, they will be called by Parliament to come appear before Parliament and make oral submissions. So that's in addition to the comment that you made between now and the 4th of August. Following that, then there has to be a consolidation against what is proposed and what the people are saying out there. And then Parliament has to determine if there are merits to the arguments or submissions that are made, and if there's a need to amend, or if there's a need to come up with a new bill altogether.
But they still need to do the public engagements in each province, right? Yes. Where they need to give 5 weeks notice. And the language issues, just very briefly, I know we're out of time, where they need to translate the bill, some of that stuff, because I'm referring to the Mohale cases and the findings there.
So, we need a whole bit more time.
I know.
But the bill, because it will have a nationwide implication, so then the department or Parliament, has to go to all the provinces, because vaping products and cigarettes are sold everywhere.
Yes.
So you have to go to each and every part of this country to ensure that people's voices are heard and people make a submission. And again, not everyone speaks English, not everyone speaks one language. So you have to ensure that everyone gets to be heard in their own languages and people get to understand what is being proposed in their own languages. We have 12 official languages in South Africa. So if you want to make your submission in any particular language, you are free to do so, and Parliament has to ensure that there's facilities available for you to do so. Failing which, we've seen with the court cases that have come that it's one issue that Parliament, the Constitutional Court has been strong about. And again, you have to give people enough notice for them to come. People are busy. You can't just tell them tomorrow we have these things. You have to give them enough time to prepare. So what the Constitutional Court has said give them at least 5 weeks. Tell them that this thing is coming, will be coming to your area. Because you don't need, when you talk of public participation meaningful, we need as many people as possible to come. Yeah. You don't want 20 people to waste your resources on booking halls and providing catering and all that stuff for only 20 people to pitch. You have to make sure that as many people as possible form part of the process.
I wish we had more time.
Yeah.
There's so much to talk about,
so
but I
much
think
to do,
we've covered the most important elements. And I think what we all can take away is that every South African needs to care about the policy-making process in this country. You don't have to be a vapor, you don't have to be a smoker, but you have to care about the way laws are made in this country. So we're encouraging you to make your submission. As the gentlemen have said, there's various ways on the Vapor Products Association website as well. There is a link to fill in the submission via VSML, via Parliament. But I think what is really important is to ensure that we show up. When I say we as South Africans, when we show up, then we can hold our regulators to account. Because if we don't show up, we don't have a leg to stand on when we complain about the kinds of regulations that are being proposed. So thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you at the next episode. And Kurt, Calvin, thank you very much for your time. It has been a very fruitful discussion. Until next time, thank you from your host, Asanda.